You're welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as you know, we put Ghana first. Now, as you may have monitored, the registration exercise, like some of us clearly noted last week, the COVID-19 protocols at the various centers dramatically improved. People are getting a lot more confident in going to the registration centers to register. But a couple of issues have come up as a result of the registration and the political season that has actually caused the Christian Council to call a press conference to ask the politicians to tone down on the rhetoric. Actually, a training college graduate was caught in the NDC-MPP crossfire and stabbed to death. A 28-year-old man was reported, my Joy Online, has died after he was stabbed in the back at Banda in the Borough region by men reported to be New Patriotic Party MPP supporters. Silas Wolochame, a new graduate from Akimoda Teacher Training College, was allegedly accosted by the men at Banda, Kabrono, on Monday when he was returning from a visit to his pastor at Wenchi Methodist. The disease is said to be an apolitical person, but was mistaken to be a member of the opposition National Democratic Congress. Then they said already there is tension between the two dominant parties in the ongoing voter registration exercise in Banda. A number of issues going on. Yesterday you would have heard that some guys were arrested for registering, taking the machines to go into people's private homes to conduct the registration exercises. There's been claims about EC announcing numbers of total numbers of registered persons, which is like double or far more in excess than the actual numbers that were registered. The EC has explained, but some can't seem to have an understanding. Let's begin with one of the people on the ground, Dr. Oko Boy. What do you see from your own going round and following some of this report? What do you find is going on?
Yeah, Samson. So I've been doing some monitoring. Last Wednesday, spent about 3-4 hours, visited about 10 centers. You know, Lejokuku has about 242 polling stations, one of the biggest constituencies. And as we speak, registration is being done at 50 centers. And, you know, this is a constituency that has had a mixed history. You know, sometimes things have been very quiet, sometimes it's been quite agitated and all that. And I'm happy to mention that for now, the exercise has been very smooth. I have spoken to all our folks that really, if you have any issue, let us know, as when I say as I'm in leadership, so that we would approach the appropriate context. And I'll cite one classical example, which could have led to violence or confusion. When we started, there was a particular polling registration center or police station that was pitched by the EC right behind the Palace for Market. In fact, where you have the traffic light. And traditionally, that place has been a center in the Lejokuku constituency. But this time, the center was in the Ladade Kotopon role. And let me say that the two municipalities have had issues with boundary. And this was trying to raise tension. So my guys, some of my people called me, Adok, we want to go and disrupt the process, we want to get them out physically. I said, you don't need to do that. The guys there were sent by some people. So we have to go to that source, which is the Electoral Commission, and get them to speak to them. It was not easy, but I continued to maintain that position. And finally, the Electoral Commission, together with the regional and national office, were able to relocate. So this was a registration center that did 2 days of registration in the Jokuku and relocated to another site without bloodshed. So a leadership is important. But let me just add quickly that there are 3 broad categories of people in every political party. In fact, you find them in churches, any part of the community you visit. We have people, followers, who are docile, can easily be managed. In fact, sometimes their docility even can result in problems. Then you have the middle people who are very moderate. I mean, you need to, it's not difficult to manage them like the docile people. They also can be a little bit difficult because you have to convince them. And the third kind is like, you know, the hawks. Those who are quite aggressive by nature. And it usually takes leadership and some management to keep them under control. And in such times, it is important that all stakeholders, when I mean stakeholders, leaders of political parties, leaders of the church, you see, when a country becomes turbulent, everybody will be engulfed. So these things should not be left only to the Electoral Commission or political leaders. Journalists, anyone in this country who loves this country must make it a duty to speak to people who are activists in politics. That look, at the end of the day, you really cannot tell the mind of the voter in the queue. Samson, I have met people who go like, Doc, I mean, my secretary gave me the data yesterday. We've registered over 80,000 people in Lejokuku with many more days to go. And sometimes people go like, Doc, so how many are yours? And I go like, come on, really, how can it tell the mind of the voter in the queue? You know, so the point is that you must be careful. For all you know, the gentleman or lady you perceive as being an opponent, really in the mind is for you.
Right.
And it will be suicidal to try and take a fight when the person really would have come to help you. So, Samson, and we also...
You know, the NDC,
yes,
actually, through its youth organizer, and later as emphasized by some of the other leaders in the party, have said that they have seen, you know, violence perpetrated against their members. They have shown videos and pictures of people with assault wounds on them, among others. And their youth leader is actually, you know, went ahead to charge the youth to, as it were, you know, take their destiny into their own hands. I don't want to repeat the words he used.
I get you.
You know?
Yeah.
And the National Peace Council issued a caution. The NDC says, you can't be doing that. You should call the NPP to order because their members or have done this against us. You don't do a general statement saying the political parties, NDC, NPP, you should stop this and stop that. The Christian Council done a similar thing. They are not happy. Johnson Sedun Ketia says they are fighting the Trinity. You know, the EC, the government, and the security. That's what he calls the Trinity, that everybody is against them.
Yeah. Samson, I think you followed our political history for a long time. So you know that there is this tendency for parties in opposition to claim that the military, the police, and all that are under the influence of the state.
I remember like yesterday when you guys were in opposition.
Yeah. So, Samson, I think in order to build a nation that will be that will not be interrupted by chaos or any other means, I think for the NDC, for me as a political activist, I would assume from day one that it's because their interest might not be served. Looking at where I come from, that's why they might be shouting. In the same way, they also would assume that it's because of our interest. So when it comes to such matters, it is important that third parties, and I believe in engagement. You know, sometimes someone can be crying, it might not be justified, but engaging the person helps to reduce the temperature. And all we are interested in is like when we come to COVID, you want to engage in temperature reduction measures. Because even if their claim is unfounded, the shouting and the threats and, you know, peace versus justice. This is a conversation that always can create some tension. Well, someone can say, really, you can leave them. I mean, they can't do anything, but you don't want the temperature to be elevated.
Right.
So, third parties like the Christian Council should still try and engage them, hear them, and then try to, you know, sometimes an engagement makes tempers go down. But really, I've said it all the time, and I'll repeat it. It is not the register that will determine your fate as a political party, it's your record. It is not your vengeance or your venom. It is your vigilance. And their vigilance is what picked those abnormalities or anomalies. And thirdly, it is not the politics, it's the policies. We should stick to this. And if these things work.
Repeat those three things again. It's not your what?
It's not the register, but it's your record. It is obviously not your vengeance or venom, but your vigilance throughout the process. And thirdly, the politics will not help you. It's your policies, your programs.
Interesting. Sam George, the NDC has a litany of circumstances of brutalities, and it is disturbed that the police is not acting and its members are being disturbed. What's your way to resolving these issues?
Well, Samson, once again, let me say good morning to our viewers, and let me say good morning to the Dean of the School of Dirty Tricks, Mr. Kokobako, who is on the show. The point has to be made here that an attempt to want to generalize the political temperature rising in the country and say both political parties would be a disingenuous attempt by any group. I hold the personal view that the National Peace Council should be disbanded because they are the biggest threats to the peace and stability of our democracy. Reason being the hypocritical stance of that organization. They always seek to make equivalence the basis of their statements. What has raised the temperature? First and foremost, the MP for Ejura, Seshedumasi, Honorable Bawa, was attacked by MPP hoodlums, nearly crippled a sitting member of parliament by MPP thugs and hoodlums. The National Peace Council did not find it right to criticize the NPP. They waited and held their cool till the murder of an innocent Ghanaian citizen in Banda. And look, the issues in Banda did not start today. Let me give you a little history of the issues in Banda. The MP for Banda, Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, is our first deputy whip in parliament. These issues, there has been a Voltairean community that has lived in Banda for close to 100 years. These issues came to a head in 2016 when the then MPP candidate and current candidate now, Joe Dankwa, said he was not going to allow the Voltaireans who live in Banda to vote anymore and that they should leave and go back home. Ghana is a unitary state. The then police commander, by name Superintendent Chum Berema, who is currently the commander at Swame, so he's still in the police service, you can call him, threatened to arrest Joe Dankwa for his acts which sought to raise the political temperature. As we got into this political season again, you had Joe Dankwa say that he would not allow the Voltaireans to take part in the registration process, and actually led to the burning of the houses of these Ghanaian citizens because they were claimed to be people of Volta extraction, led by Joe Dankwa, the MPP's parliamentary candidate. The Peace Council was deaf, blind, and mute at the time. The minority caucus in parliament visited the Voltairean caucus, or the Voltairean Ghanaian citizens living in the Banda community, and commiserated with them. Post that visit, there was an attack on the residence of the member of parliament for the area, Honorable Ibrahim Ahmed, led by Joe Dankwa again. In that attack, the younger brother of Honorable Ibrahim Ahmed was attacked and hit with a cudgel. It was this action that led to people in Banda Ahinkro, which is the hometown of Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, where the attack happened, to mount a roadblock and say that they were going to stop the vehicle that came into Banda Ahinkro and attacked the Honorable Member of Parliament in his house. Now, a reprisal to that roadblock was set up by Joe Dankwa and his people in a town called Kabrundo. It is at that roadblock that they said every vehicle headed for Banda Ahinkro, they were going to attack. A vehicle from Winchi headed for Banda Ahinkro was the vehicle in which this young man, this young teacher training graduate was in. He was pulled out and stabbed to death. So if we follow the sequence of events, who has occasioned a rise in the temperature? Who is the perpetrator and the one fostering violence in this registration exercise?
You are saying
National Peace Council.
You are saying that this particular individual you are mentioning, there is evidence that he is responsible for all of this, and yet he is not arrested. Nothing has happened to him. Is that what you are saying?
Because he is the parliamentary candidate for the NPP. He has a group of hoodlums who have either identified themselves as invisible forces
Sam George,
and others who have identified themselves as national security officers.
Do you think sincerely that it is possible for any citizen in Ghana today to conduct themselves the way you suggest he has done, and there is evidence to link that person to that kind of activity, criminal activity, and that person, because they are an MP belonging to the government side, will not be arrested and will not face the law?
That is the breakdown in law and order you have in this country. That is the illegality and irresponsibility that has been fostered by no less a person than the president himself. Because the president sent a signal to the hoodlums and thugs in his party when the Ayawaso West Commission, and Mr. Ernest Abuchi was part of that commission. Has any report culpability on the part of individuals, and the president rubbished that report and refused to prosecute those people. In doing that, the president has served notice that he would not prosecute anybody within his own party.
Has any report been lodged with the police about the gentleman you refer to, and they have not acted with the evidence you suggest?
Samson, it will blow your mind if I told you that one of the principal alleged perpetrators of the murder of the young man, 3 days before that, had been arrested by the police with unregistered weapons in his vehicle. The police officer who carried out the arrest has been ordered to proceed on a transfer for arresting that gentleman. And the gentleman was released upon a call which came from above. And the gentleman came back to the police station where he was arrested with the weapons and bragged that his party is in power.
Okay.
He is alleged to be one of the masterminds behind the murder of this young man.
My question was specific about this individual you have named so many times and suggested that, not even suggested, stated categorically that he is behind hoodlums, he is responsible for the mayhem and all the criminal acts that is going on in Banda. Has there been a report to the police? Have the police been furnished with any evidence about this?
The police is aware. I'm telling you that the police actually arrested one of his known associates with unregistered weapons 3 days to the murder of the teacher trainee. The police officer who carried out that arrest has been asked to proceed on leave.
You refer to this. You refer to this associate as an alleged, accomplice or someone who is alleged to be connected. But this MP, you don't refer to him as alleged to be involved.
Because I have spoken to the first deputy whip of the minority, who is the MP for Banda, Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, and he confirms to me that Joe Dankwa personally led the team to his house that assaulted his brother, which is what lifted or raised the temperature in the community. Again, I'm saying to you that today, the current police commander for Swame Division of the Ghana Police Service, in 2016,
you have said that already, some George. You have said that already, some George. But I think that it is only fair that because we don't have Joe Dankwa to be responding to the categorical statements you make about him, it is only fair that you if you have heard that he is alleged to be connected, you say so rather than be categorical and say he is the one. And I doubt that in this country today there will be such evidence as you refer to, and anybody will not be held for it.
He's alleged to have led the men to Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim Ahmed's house and led the attack on the Voltarians also. That's the allegation against him.
What is the NDC's way? Right. What is the NDC's way? What is the NDC's way of bringing the tension down? Is it what the youth organizer told your youth to do, as in retaliate?
No, the National Youth Organizer of the NDC did not say we should retaliate. He said we should protect ourselves as best possible. Samson, I believe that you as a senior journalist who is on top of your job in this country have taken serious personal safety precautions since the death of Ahmed Swale, have you not?
Even before that.
Fantastic, because you had seen the kinds of attacks and the intolerance on journalists in this country since 2017. It is in the same vein that the NDC youth organizer is telling members of the NDC that we cannot seek or expect justice from a government that is seemingly the biggest perpetrator of violence and political violence in the Fourth Republic. We cannot seek any justice from them. And we have to take our own security into our own hands. We cannot, and look, Samson, I can give you examples of my own constituency. Just last week, Friday, a so-called team of national security operatives attempted to attack me. It took a detachment of military and police individuals to intervene in that matter. When we got into the bottom of the matter, these individuals were not actually from national security, but tags of the NPP who were using national security as a cover. So this issue is rampant across the country.
Let's hear what Kwaku Baako has to say about this. And having monitored the posture of both parties in these matters, what will be your reaction?
See, since 1996, there has never been any registration exercise that we haven't had such problems and challenges. Since 1996.
Yeah, they are still busing people, and the EC says they should stop.
Exactly, ma'am.
Afarajan used to complain about that.
If you read this report, this is the CRAB report of the panel. The venerable
VCRAC
CRAB. It's all captured here. The political parties, particularly the two main ones, I'm not excluding the others, but we are talking here of magnitude, the scope and coverage, involve themselves in such activities, transporting people from one place to another place to go and register, enticing foreign elements to come in and register, encouraging minors to register, and doing all sorts of funny things. It's all here.
Afarajan referred to that as what contributed to the bloatedness of the register.
Same conclusions captured here. In spite of the introduction of biometric technology, the challenges remained in different forms, and the report captures it. Then, of course, violence. I have a national security report here. This is for 2004 on registration. I'll just read two paragraphs. Yendi, NPP and NDC supporters nearly clashed at St. Kizito Junior Secondary School and Islamic Preparatory and Primary School centers over attempts by minors and aliens to register. Registration officials complaining about anger and mega loud. That's not relevant, but this is the most relevant. Mohammed Sham alias Sampeshini, I might not pronounce the names well, and Sham Abdul Rof were arrested on 16th March 2004 by Goshigu police on suspicion of involvement in firing guns during confrontation between NDC supporters led by Zibrim Imoru and MPP counterparts at Nyeriflobon Registration Center, Goshigu, on 16th March 2004. The suspects have been granted bail. Another one, Tamale. One Bashiru Mahama, an associate of the sons of Alhaji Abdul Rahman, alias Kop, NPP regional, Northern Regional MP chairman, pulled a revolver and fired indiscriminately at Kulikugu, you may know, United Primary School Registration Center, upon being informed registration officials were on strike. The regional police command met political parties representatives and impressed upon them the need for peace during, before, during, and after the elections. Check the reports for 2008, 2012, and 2016. Similar incidents of violence. All sides, both sides, are involved in that. And it is because everybody is seeking to do those things we just spoke about, when there was no basis for it. My question is, what has been the history of enforcement. We just read it, some people were bailed. What happened to charges and trials? Because we treat it as a political thing, and it ideas, oh, don't enforce, don't go too extreme. You arrest them, you bail them, you know, no prosecution, no conviction, no sentence. We've sown the seeds for impunity, that culture of impunity. And in this case, I'm not excluding any of them. I'm not in the position to challenge the account Sam George has put out here in real sense. I'm not.
Okay.
I've read it, I've seen it. We must ask the police. Look, in all this registration, military and police personnel are deployed to flash points.
Right.
Already, intelligence knows which areas are flash points. And we deploy police and military personnel there. They arrest sometimes, but they let them go after a while. No trials, nothing. Why wouldn't we continue to have such incidents? Now we are talking of a young man who is supposed to have been killed, murdered. I appeal to the Ghana police, please. It isn't as if it's the beginning, but this might not be the last two. So please, can they investigate this particular incident? Arrest, apprehend the perpetrators, and for once prosecute. It's important. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and do, you know, a selective analysis of the issue. The truth is that both parties and their agents in the field are guilty of this offense. And Justice Crabb put it well. It says, apart from the corruption of the Electoral Commission officials, that is the temporal staff especially, because of the fact that they are temporal staff, you know, you're talking of some incident of officials having been arrested.
Yeah,
I am sure if you check, they may be even temporal staff. More often than not, it is the temporal staff that engage in those things. Justice Crabb pointed it out, the panel, that is part of the problem for the EC in terms of the corruption of the process from the registration period. Something ought to stop. Something must be done about this. And I'm appealing to the police to take this Banda incident as a classic case. There have been many. Okay? As for the point about journalists being harassed and the rest, I'm going to ignore it for a while, for today, because I don't want to mix the picture. Okay? Let's stay focused.
I didn't want to interrogate that issue because it's not the issue for discussion.
And it can create distortions here and things.
I have been on Joy, and we have done results collation and called elections almost every election year. If I were to tell you what some of us go through after we have called elections, you won't believe it.
Yes, just calling
you won't believe it. We don't get to sleep in our homes. Yes. Okay. Anyway, Justice Wood said in the Abu Ramadan case, first one, that if the right to vote is important in participatory democracy, the right to register is even more fundamental and critical. It is the golden key that opens the door to exercise the right to vote, unquote. This golden key that opens the right, that opens the door to exercise that right. Why do the political parties, like Oko just told us a while ago, Koboy told us a while ago, his people are asking him, how many of the people registered so far are on our side? What a question. The police held meetings with the parties and gave warnings. Kokubako is asking the question, is that all you can do? Just give warnings and end there? Because we have seen evidence of brutality, evidence of criminal acts that have gone on. So the police may want to take action, and now. We'll take a quick break. We'll return. I share some of your views by way of text messages and WhatsApp messages that you have brought in. And then we will proceed to look at whether or not schools should close because of COVID-19. That's been detected in some of the schools. Then after that, we will deal with whether or not GBC can win the fight that it has started against the communications ministry. We'll be right back.